just the AI is a complete symbol to them of the disparity between the rich and the poor.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're entering Marie Antoinette let them eat cake moment right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so when someone says, I'm going to use AI, that to them, it doesn't matter if it's a good movie. It doesn't matter if they love the guy. That's just a symbol of evil to them.
It's the Death Star.
It's the Death Star.
Welcome to another CG garage where the monstrous moon shines. We're building new Hollywood like in 1971's prime. From authors' bold dreams to AI's fever dream, where tech meets the silver or LED screen. Pixels and passion are pipelines unknown to hosts. One show on a deadline postponed.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the CG Garage. This is episode number 552, which is a group discussion that Daniel and I had with two incredible people, Julianna Medina-Politsky and Trina Renee. I met them at NAB and we hung out quite a bit over there at a couple parties. And I just knew that having them on the podcast was a critical part of our discussion about the state of Hollywood. Julianna has an incredible background. She's part of a group called Stationic Ventures. And she also comes from Legendary Pictures, where she was an executive there for a long time. And Trina was a VFX producer, but is now actually a post-producer, overall studio side post-producer over at Warner Brothers, and has incredible experience. And with those two people involved, I really wanted to get their opinions about what's happening in Hollywood, what's being disrupted, what are the opportunities, and what are the changes, and how we need to sort of look at things, especially as young people are starting to make more interesting and creative decisions. We follow Gareth Edwards quite a bit, which Julianna has a lot of experience with because she worked with him on Godzilla. And of course, that kind of path of what Gareth Edwards went through is very interesting when you look at what's happening right now in movies like Obsession and Backrooms. I should note that Daniel and I had another episode that will be airing soon where we just talk about Obsessions and Backrooms, so look forward to that. All right, in terms of the podcast, you guys know what to do. If you guys want to email us about any ideas or concepts or anything you want to propose, just go to email us at podcast@cggarage.com. And of course, if you want to follow us on any of our other platforms, just go to our link tree. Our link tree is mmstudios71, mmstudios71. But for now, please enjoy episode number 552 with Julianna and Trina.
This episode of CG Garage is sponsored by CenterGrid Virtual Studio. Wondering why you went to film school just to be stuck managing hardware life cycles? CenterGrid delivers end-to-end GPU-accelerated cloud workstations built specifically for VFX and creative production, with flat, predictable pricing and personalized support from people who actually get your workflow. Plus, CenterGrid is TPN Gold Shield certified, so your studio's security is locked down. Check out what Virtual Studio can do for your pipeline at cgvirtualstudio.com. This episode of CG Garage is sponsored by Kitbash 3D, one of our favorite tools and an essential tool for 3D artists everywhere. With the largest library of cinematic quality, production-ready 3D assets, Kitbash 3D ensures that your studio has the tools to build stunning environments quickly, efficiently, and at scale. Design detailed worlds in a fraction of the time without compromising on quality. Head to kitbash3d.com and use the code CGGarage at checkout for 10% off any kit. Again, that's kitbash3d.com, code CGGarage.
I'm glad we were able to finally do this. I got to know you guys at NAB, and ever since then I was like, we're going to become best friends, and it's going to be so much fun. And we have hung out obviously at NAB, we hung out quite a bit, and then we spent the day together over at AI on the Lot, which was also a lot of fun, and we've obviously been emailing back and forth. But there's a lot going on in the industry right now, and having you guys as the perspective of that is going to be super important. But before we start, I'd love to be able to do, just to get people a little bit of context about your backgrounds and where you came from. Let's start with you, Trina.
Okay.
So, yeah, just a little bit.
So I've been in post and visual effects for over 15 years. I started vendor side vendor side visual effects, then went to client side, and from client side visual effects, I went to client side post. So I've been working on studio projects for Warner Brothers, for Fox, and everything that I've learned about visual effects I've taken with me and moved forward, and you can see a lot of that in how visual effects is moving more and more to pre-production. People are understanding like, oh, we need to have them here. So
Right.
yeah,
Where was your vendor side?
I was at Pixamundo.
At Pixo. Okay.
Everybody was at Pixo at some point.
Yeah. Yes. I was not, but I've worked with them a lot. So were you there during the Ben Grossman days?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fabulous. What about you, Juliana?
First of all, great to be here. I have been in the industry for 15 years. When you say that, sounds, everything moves like that. I started actually in the agency world, working with actors and writers and directors. Smaller agency, but still reputable, top 10 innovative artist.
Yep.
And then, which was fantastic. It was a great place to learn because, I wasn't one of the big five, but at the same time, they were really doing the good work and working with some big names. And that was when TV was kind of moving into its more cinematic space, the Game of Thrones of it all, et cetera. Streaming was starting to hit. So some of the actors and talent we worked with were very much the ones that broke out are now big people today, like the Pedro Pascals and stuff like that. So after the agency world, I went over to Legendary Entertainment. That was when they were underneath Warner Brothers, but they were just breaking out and building their first physical production department. I had zero experience in physical. But I came in when they were just building that up. So they were making $200 million movies on a skeleton crew of like 7 people, right? And when you understand the scope of that, when you work at the big studios, you're like, whoa, right? But the difference of that is that I came in as an assistant, and I came in and I assisted physical production, VFX, and finance, which is never heard of, right? And I was like, I thought you guys had deep pockets. But, still at the end of the day, all companies are trying to save money, et cetera. But for me, it was a learning experience and, to be honest, job security. So, and learning all of those facets was hands down the best school ever because it was hands-on and it was working with like the best in the industry, right? And so that is where I started the first project, which was 42 with Chad Boseman. And from there, we would be making 2 to 3 movies a year. Either Legendary would take reins of it and be the point, or Warner Brothers would do that. Right. So I stayed for 10 years, but I ended up staying in 2 departments for mostly of that, production and finance. And then overseeing about 25 movies, and then probably another 25 that were co-fis with either Warner Brothers and or Universal. So those were big tentpole movies, usually over $200 million. I think towards the end of it, they started making some $8 and $14 million movies. So it was really kind of the experience of kind of seeing from like soup to nuts and how everything was made. Because even though Legendary was, making big content and with big partners, we really were working on a very small crew, and which was very good at giving purview to each one of those departments. Right. VFX was amazing. That's a lot there. And so I only stayed in that for a shorter time. But understanding, the importance of it and where it goes was invaluable.
So is that where you met Trina?
No, Trina and I met at a party. But as you do, in LA, part of your, job is going out.
We were the only 2 in the smoking area.
That's what the real deal is.
Hey, that's how I met my wife. So.
And I used to say to people, it's like, you want to go meet people? I know it's, not good, healthy. Go to the smoking area.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the hangout. That's the gossip place.
But it's where people kind of let their guard down a bit. Even if they're not drinkers, they're just
Yeah, they're trying to de-stress. That's why they're there. This was an episode of Friends, right? Like Rachel was trying to learn to smoke. And she's just like,
I do not promote smoking in any means.
Yes, terrible. It's bad for you.
Yes, it's terrible bad. But you just go and hang out. But that was it. It was kind of finding those, hey, who's going to help me, give me some intel in this industry? Because that's what it's about. It's about the information that you get. And then the quality people, like Trina, that you fortunately find your tribe and you hope you stay with over the years.
Yeah.
You know who you do that today? Podcasting.
Fantastic. You're on the...
This is the smoking lounge. This is the smoking lounge.
With water.
Okay, so there was a lot of stuff going on, obviously, that we've been discussing this a lot. And, you guys definitely seen, like, you understand our perspective, you understand what Monstrous Moonshine is talking about in terms of where the new Hollywood is going and what's happening. Obviously, we all went to AI on the lot yesterday, except last week, except for you. But there was some interesting things happen. There's a lot we can discuss about that. But the one thing that want to come up, because this came up yesterday, was that Jorge Gutierrez announced that he was going to do Punky Duck with AI, right? And immediately backed down yesterday when his fan
base freaked out
crazy about it, right? So this is something I've discussed before. There is a disjointedness between what people think people want and what the audiences want.
Yeah.
And so suddenly, while this happened, like, what's your reaction to this? Like, how do you guys think about the fact that the LinkedIn crowd and the audience that they're trying to get to have a completely different conversation going on?
Right. No, it was actually a big topic that we, and it was just a big topic in the industry, but it was specifically, so when I went to AI on the lot, I also went with a group of executives, a group I belong to called Latina Squad, started by my fabulous colleague, Christine Davila. She's a force, she's amazing, and started this group, and we're just Latina executives and all in VP or high positions in creative. Any studio or network, there's someone there. So that group was there. So there was and we always are supporting Latino representation. So we are very excited to see that and to see the involvement in the AI space, because you got to be where the puck is going. And then to hear that announcement afterwards, it was kind of like a gut punch, because not only from that dichotomy of, like you're saying, like this crowd versus what the audience wants. It was also like AI democratizes filmmaking. It democratizes the ability, the gatekeeping comes down a bit, because if you're good, you're going to get noticed, right? It was kind of what YouTube did in the early days. And we knew by having him part of that and being such, a vital, in his area of expertise, that he was going to give real opportunity to Latino representation and artists. That was going to probably, break through a lot of the normal studio insert network, red tape. So it really was as I understand it, we were terribly disappointed, because we realized that we could have had potentially a couple shows that supported Latino representation and artists that now we're going to have to go through the old tried and true system, and good luck.
Which is heavily gatekeeping.
It's heavily gatekept, but it's also, I love Guillermo del Toro. I love GDT, but even those comments and I understand he's being punk rock by making those comments, and also someone should tell him that he's used it in post. But it is what it is.
People lie about that. People have lied about this for years. You know this. Everyone say, "Oh no, there's no CG used in Barbie." Are you kidding me?
Okay, yeah.
Right.
And to clarify,
and Warner Brothers even removes the green screen or the blue screen in the BTS to pretend that there was no CG. So it's a lie.
Because all of this, this is a business, and you get the money from the people that watch your things.
Sure.
Right? And so whether you're the filmmaker or whether you're the studio or whatever it is, and the studio will lean into whatever people think is happening over anything else. Whatever they think.
There you go.
Exactly. And so the idea, we've talked about this a million times, but the idea, we've run into it for decades, of people thinking, you heard all the time, CG ruins movies, right? And because when people see bad CG, they see it and they're like, that's the reason why I'm not enjoying this movie. No, the reason why you're not enjoying the movie is because the screenplay is terrible and the filmmaking is bad. But now you have something to attach it to, and you can point to it and say, that's what did it. It was the scorpion rock. It wasn't the fact that the movie itself is unwatchably bad. It's the scorpion rock. And so my
perfect example is there's two Marvel movies that I think have questionable CG but are fantastic. There's Thor Ragnarok, hilarious,
great movie,
one of the best of all the Marvels. Terrible CG, terrible. Really not terrible. It's not great. Let's just put that. And the other one is Black Panther, one of the most profitable ones. The CG had some serious problems in it. Doesn't matter. Everyone loves the movie.
If it's a good movie, right? If you're on board, then it's great.
A good story will smooth over all those visual issues.
Right. And because if you watch the original
Shaolin
Star
soccer
Wars today, yeah, like exactly. If you watch the original Star Wars today, I mean, sure, the effects blew everyone away in 1977, but the effects today, by comparison, are terrible. Like you can see the boxes around the TIE fighters, you can see all that stuff. It's bad. And that's all unacceptable today by professional standards. And you don't notice at all because the movie is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's the gag. And so when people think that they're like, nah, and because I've had this debate online where someone's like, I don't go for this like digital blood, right? Because, and this dude's literally said this to me. It's like, I don't go for this digital blood, man. It's got to be physical because like, look at Fincher, right? You watch Zodiac, that's real blood they used on the set. He's telling to me, one of the people who did the blood digitally in digital domain, and like when they don't see it, they think it's real.
Right.
Yeah.
They believe that it's real.
Yeah.
And I think that what is happening now with AI is that people believe they haven't already been tricked when it is our business to trick you.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let's get some context to this. And Trina, I definitely want to hear.
Context.
I want to hear your thoughts on this. But the problem is the problem I see is that whole crowd that announced it at AI on the lot had no conscious idea that it would be such a backlash. Like that's how out of touch they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Why did that happen? Why
Why did they happen? Okay. So another perfect example, this is not to do with the film industry, but I believe it was Eric Schmidt who did this whole big speech over at a commencement speech, and he told all these kids they have to learn how to use AI, and they all booed him right at the commencement speech, right? Now this was very common. I have a daughter who's 20 years old, and I asked, that here's the reality of those people out there, the 20-year-old kids that are coming out of college. AI is consciously taking all opening jobs away from them.
Yeah.
All of them.
All entry level.
All entry-level jobs are going away from AI. So here's a guy who's telling them, learn how to use AI when those jobs are gone, right? Okay. And just from a job-seeking point of view, from these 20-year-old kids, right? They'll put out 1,000 job requests on Indeed. They'll get maybe 1% return on those 1,000 requests. And most of the interviews they have are with an AI.
Right.
They hate it.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate it. It's not just because the data centers are using water, or it's not just because of this. So just the AI is a complete symbol to them of the disparity between the rich and the poor.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're entering Marie Antoinette let them eat cake moment right now.
Yes.
Right. And so when someone says, I'm going to use AI, that to them, it doesn't matter if it's a good movie. It doesn't matter if they love the guy. That's just a symbol of evil to them.
That's the Death Star.
It's the Death Star.
It is.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing that I think is interesting is like the studios don't seem to get it. That's the case. What do you think about it?
Well, that's kind of been the problem all along, is the studios are out of touch and they don't get it. And that is, and forgive me for anybody that I'm interviewing with, the studios are signing their own death warrant. They're dinosaurs. They're unmovable, and they are not keeping up with everything. And it was the same thing all through visual effects. Studios and creators have this idea that it can do more than it can really do. And so that's the same way that they're going with AI. They don't understand what people want, and they don't understand how AI works.
Right.
And so there's a lot of this misunderstanding and miscommunication, and all of this is going on while the rest of us are going, but we need content. We need to make content. We need to be creating art. We need to be doing things. And they're just we're not moving forward. We're not moving forward.
It feels like, tell me if you think I'm wrong, it feels like there's multiple discussions that all have to do with an aspect of AI, and the worst part of each taints the best part of the others constantly.
Yes.
And so they're just like, because like I think the fair way to say for your daughter, et cetera, is like, it's beyond that they're mad, they're scared, which is true. Then they're right to be scared because everything is changing extremely fast.
They see, and to them, they're like, my daughter's has a hard time with it because, AI saved my sister's life, her aunt's life, right?
Yeah,
because AI diagnosed breast cancer 2 years before she would have
Exactly.
been diagnosed, and she probably could have died from it otherwise, right? So there's definitely, and it was, it's taken care of, right? Way earlier than ever before. So
I like where you're going with this.
so there's definitely benefits, and my daughter sees that as a benefit, right? But it's the other stuff. It's how's my future look like? And I don't understand why everyone is sitting here making more and more money off of not having a job.
Right.
Well, just like anything that can be dangerous, it depends whose hands it is, what they're using it for, what their intention
It
was.
is. But this is more like literally they see how it affects their life immediately right
And
now.
it's not about the immediate, because I think they see it as, again, back to the Star Wars reference. I could do those all day. Back to the Death Star, like it's this impending doom of a takeover, right? Or something that is taken over, and you're going to have to track back and then become Rebel Alliance. Again, here we go. But it's not a takeover so much as where I've seen it as be an additive to what is there. So in filmmaking, AI is not taking over production. It is a layer of production. It is a layer of creating. It is a layer of VFX and a layer of delivery and post.
Sure.
So it's, what is that tool that, and some of my colleagues have said, and it's so on point, AI is there to do all the things you don't want to do. Does anybody want a roto? No.
No.
Fantastic.
I know one person.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
I do know a couple people, but they like to get high at work, and that was a perfect job for them.
Exactly. I think we're
But-
talking the same person. Literally the
If
same
that's
person.
the case, I have some jobs.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
that's what I see. It's
Jargon
an
companies make it
additive
run all
layer.
day.
So how do I utilize it to this other position
Sure.
as opposed to it's the takeover?
I understand. Unfortunately, the perception is it's an all or nothing. And we've also become especially Western culture has become an all or nothing. You're either for us or against us on any subject, right?
Yeah.
And this is the real problem, right? Is that the as you said with medical advances in AI versus the way that AI will usurp other jobs, et cetera.
Sure.
It's like AI is not the one. AI itself is not looking to take away a job. AI is inert. It's a machine. It doesn't have any intent at all. It is the people that are running
But
companies.
it takes away all the side jobs that people.
Well, look at
would
all
have.
the tech companies that laid people off, and they're like, we're going to replace them with AI. And then they go in there, wait.
and
AI
it doesn't
doesn't
work
do
like that.
What we want it to do.
And sometimes it's more expensive than a person.
Yes.
Yes.
What I wanted to bring up is that that the people that not only do I feel like the people that are rebelling against AI are misunderstanding what the target should be. The people who are running AI also don't know what's happening and are making terrible decisions.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're working these two groups.
Can you sit back a little bit?
These two groups agree more often than they know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because they agree on things, and they agree on concepts that are totally incorrect.
But there's no open discourse.
Yes, this is
There's
the
just walls
big struggle
everywhere.
because I can say exactly what you're saying is that we have the reason why there's no work in Hollywood right now isn't because of AI.
Oh, well, okay. First of all, we got to change subject because there is work in Hollywood.
No.
There's definitely work in Hollywood.
I'm sorry.
There's a ton of movies coming out. We've at
yes, that's true.
26% up at the box office.
Yes. However, but the reason why everyone has been panicked for the past many years because there's 40% less production and many people have now moved out of Hollywood is because there has been no work. Things are changing, and we can take off from there.
Things are changing, but we've known that there's going to be a revolution that's happening in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the revolution that has become so much clearer.
I'm leading up to this. Everyone is panicked is what I mean to say.
Sure.
Right. And so we want a revolution. Right. And because of how we feel about AI in other fields,
Sure.
we are looking at this and saying, oh, we should also have no AI here, when that may very well be the thing that allows the revolution in this industry.
Right.
Could be.
This meaning that these
So
are tools that can do that.
Let's talk about the revolution that is happening. It is and it's basically what everyone's talking about in Hollywood today. Okay, so we're talking about, of course, what movies are we talking about?
What movies are we talking about?
Obsession and Backrooms.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Obsession and Backrooms, right? So obviously we know that these two films now are become the new Barbenheimer, right?
Yep.
Barbenheimer for degenerates, but they're not. They're really good films. I haven't seen Obsession yet. My daughter is obsessed with it. She's like, she can't wait for me to see it. She knows she's
Giant
film.
3 weeks in a row.
Backrooms, I just saw that. I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. Obviously, we know about this thing. We're talking about a new generation of filmmakers. We're talking about filmmakers. One is 20 years old, directed it when he was 19.
Right, which is incredible.
Right. And Mark Duplass made a big point on social media that no, he didn't have any side directors. He actually did direct it, and that's wonderful. And then the other one is 26 years old, right? Obsession was made for under $1 million. I believe it was $750,000. And Backrooms was done for $10 million. It is the most profitable film that A24 has ever done. Tripled their profit from Civil War, which was also a fantastic film, right? And A24 is now quickly becoming a big brand. It's no longer the small studio that it was, right? At the same time, Mandalorian is dropped 70% on its second week, right? And so it was dumped from IMAX. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on here that we need to discuss. So there was an article by Jason Blum that basically said we are back to the 1970s, which is what we've been advocating for years, and we're seeing a new kind of filmmaking. So,
but we're seeing it in the production companies, not in the studios.
Yeah, exactly. The people that make the things, as opposed to the people that buy the things.
Ironically enough, I saw both of those movies. I have the AMC
A-list,
and so I saw.
Wasn't that the best?
It is if you can get to one of the places I'm going to travel, which there's no AMCs around, so I'm bummed. But I saw them both in the same time. No, obviously I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a huge Pedro fan and Mandalorian. So I saw that first. And again, I got what it was, and I got what it wasn't. Like, if you are all the canon and all the lore, you're going to be like, what? This isn't a Star Wars movie. It was for, like, little kids, which I enjoyed it. And so I was like, but I get why. And then Obsession, which I was very much like, that's everything I live in my world. It is genre, horror, action, thriller now with my company, Station X. And so I was watching Mandalorian for the fandom, which it wasn't fandom, it was just for fans, if you know the difference. Right. And then Obsession I was watching as like, what are the next projects that I have that are going to be like this? So Obsession is being both Obsession and Backrooms and or Talk to Me is another example of that. Yep. Like they were not the same content.
I loved Talk to Me.
But it was the same how they got made. Yes. They got made YouTubers, by people that have...
Iron Lung too.
They have Markiplier, a pulse. On what people want, and Mark being the on the OTTs and his personality in gaming, and so they're coming from a place of authenticity from the fans, from the audience, but bigger from the community.
Yes,
and that's when you get in these genre pictures, which they all fall within genre, right? Horror, thriller, suspense. But how do you get those into not everybody can join 84, not everybody can join Blumhouse. But that's where I think AI comes in to definitely level up any project that wants to build big worlds.
Do they need it? Apparently they don't need it. They just made it for under $1 million and they made $150 million.
You're talking about a studio type of project, but not being a studio.
Nobody needs anything, right? What you need is for things to be inexpensive when you make.
Right.
I get it. I get it. But listen, here's the thing, right? They made that film for a very affordable budget, right? Their audience, Backrooms audience, 88% was under 35, right? 50% was under 25, right? Yeah. These are kids, and these are the kids who are booing the commencement speeches, right? So why alienate that audience if you can still make it for a reasonable budget? I'm not saying that you shouldn't use AI. I'm just saying these guys listen to the crowd. They know that would not be acceptable.
But there's also constraint creates creativity.
Right.
When I don't have the money, how do I get this done? I need to tell the story. And you start to focus on that. And that's why we have so much digital slop before the age of AI. Because people are like, oh, well, we can just shoot what we want to shoot.
Yeah.
Just keep shooting, and then we'll figure it out later.
Right.
And it's like we all know it's like post is not where you figure things out.
No. But even productions where you don't figure this out. I remember, speaking specifically to a friend of mine during the pandemic when everyone was like trying to figure out how they're going to shoot something, and they would say, "Can't we just Mandalorian this thing?"
Right.
Which was like, their virtual production is a great tool.
Right.
So was rear projection for the last 100 years, which is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But why just throw that out there as a solution to COVID? Like that?
Yeah, I think
No.
it's
Because the content, and it's something beautiful you guys do at Chaos, right, is facilitating and making it easy to go to the wall. Right? Because a lot of that Mandalorian, they had to block out an hour or two for the downtime from the real engine, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you guys, your system that's running cleaner and faster is fantastic. But to be able to utilize that Mandalorian, which now it's getting cheaper, walls are cheaper, and the tech is better, that project needs to be written for it.
Right.
Or with it in mind.
Yeah, you have to design for it.
So it's not backing like, hey, we made this thing, can we put it on the wall? No, it's like we need to write it with the wall in mind and then go into the production, which all of that gets it faster to the wall, streamlines it. So there's a conversation, not fix it in post. But we're going with a plan that is built for this technology.
Right.
Well, the thing is,
That's the best way to save money is come up with a plan.
well, exactly. Like know what you're trying to do, and before you do it. Yes, it's a very good idea. So like but the thing is, like with like AI, like the wall, the Mandalorian wall, doesn't solve problems for you at all. Like
it creates a lot.
It creates a lot of problems. It solves some problems.
Yes.
It's the appropriate tool for some things.
Sure.
Sometimes the answer is green screen. Sometimes the answer, as you and I know, is like, how are we going to film this four-shot of people driving in a car when we can't even get green screen pop-ups around the car,
Right.
and we can't move the car? We'll just put white boards around the car, and they'll just be white outside the windows, and no one will notice.
No one knows.
There it is. That's the solution, right? And so the reason why when I get into the AI debate, I'm not getting into it because I care about whether people use AI. What I care about is do not limit yourself, or you will stop yourself from making something.
Right.
And if always go in with, how do I get my vision out?
Right.
Right. And what the answers are that make that happen, those are the right answers. And when you say, when instead you're like if we felt as, say, religious as we do about AI, only we felt that way about the wall, like the Mandalorian wall, like it's only a film if you shoot it on the Mandalorian wall. Like then you'd have a lot of crappy looking stuff, or it's a sin if you have actors that don't wear hats. It's just like, these are weird rules to have. Like you just go like, I need to make this shot and I know what I want it to look like. What is the cheapest tool to do this to make it look great?
Right.
I do have a couple of questions about those movies, or the YouTuber movement, and I'm being very careful about not calling it a YouTuber movement, but I do like the fact that these people come from YouTube because they have a very different perspective on the audience, right? That I think that's important. But what do you think about, Trina? What do you think about the idea that this Obsession was done in 20 days of shooting for less than $1 million? Like, how does that affect like doing a production, in post-production even?
Well, I mean, we can go all the way back to the fact that like Clint Eastwood with Malpaso, when he goes to direct, he's like, oh no, I've got it. We're not wasting time and money. I've got what I want. We're moving on.
Right.
Well, all of this next generation that has been created for YouTube, they're doing what we did as kids, is shot it on a big VHS that had two decks going, and you're having to edit, but all we had was our family as an audience.
Right.
They've had an audience. They have a lot more experience than we do. They have been writing, directing, editing, doing all of their post, all their sound work, all their visual effects at home at a very young age. So they did their own film school.
Absolutely. And tested it with an audience that grew with them.
And this is a very important point, because like Markiplier has been doing this for 15 years or something like this. I've been watching him the whole time. I watched him when he was doing Odasanis. I watched he's one of the great artists on YouTube. And I loved Iron Lung. Like, I think it's amazing. And these guys have been making indie films of all kinds and testing themselves on how to do stuff really quickly. High turnover for a fan base for over a decade, right?
Yeah.
Markiplier goes into, and now I'm not going to say anything. This is not I'm about to smack down Markiplier. But what I mean is, he has been building that business for 15 years. Iron Lung is not like nobody knew who Markiplier was. Like he was already an extremely successful business person who then turned his audience over into theaters.
His audience.
Right, exactly.
But he actually did it. So this actually comes up an important thing, because he actually convinced the theaters to put his movie out.
He distributed this
to distribute it himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
And he did that through his fan base.
Through his fan base, and he got enough fans to convince AMC to put it in theaters, and he made all of his money. Like it all went to him.
Right.
So this brings up my question to you. What about distribution? How is distribution reacting to this system? Because that's the last frontier right now.
Right.
Like I think suddenly we figured out, we can do production in other ways. We can do this in different ways. But getting distribution, that's the unknown.
That is the X there, the question mark, it is the unknown. Something back to the OTT and those personalities, they have spent the time not only honing their craft in multiple facets, which is a new version of film school, if you want to say, but they are also real timing ideas and workshopping it in real time.
In real time.
Right.
And like they see a comment, they respond to a comment.
Like,
So it's like an individual.
Yeah.
They're not looking at a spreadsheet and go, we need to do a 4-quadrant film.
Right.
By the time that conversation about the spreadsheet is 2 months, and then the meeting got pushed a month because so-and-so is traveling, all those things. It is what it is. So it's real-time information, but not only from the fan base, it's the fans and what they're reacting to and what they like.
Right.
So from the distribution standpoint, YouTube, once that came out, that was kind of an interesting, experiment, because it was able to prove you had numbers and eyes on something to show there was interest. Now the OTT of the personalities was the next level on that, to be like, oh, not only that, but I can bring my fans.
Right.
And my fans equal dollars or seats or merchandise or insert anything.
Right.
So the distribution model is, as much as the studio system, it is broken, is outdated a bit.
100%. Yeah.
And it's because they can't move fast. It can't be nimble. And that's something where your smaller houses have been able to do as well. But, someone like Jason Blum, he's still connected to Universal. So his distribution is like, so what's relevant, in 2026 and Maine may totally be different, because that's how fast we're moving on these screens and online. So I'm finding, because I work a lot with, some partners in Europe and, London and one Cannes. And I've done projects where we've had A-list actors and we've got the pre-sales. And to me, I'm like, that's an outdated system. Yeah. Because I don't understand, again, because you're looking at it from the perspective of it's just movies, just a theatrical. Now, to me, a theatrical is now an arm of your distribution, not the only arm.
Right.
Right? Because you can now, that was something that was beautiful with Aeon a lot, is now I can build worlds. And I can also have different avenues to showcase in worlds. I can have it on small form. I can have it on verticals. I can have it in a game. Then I can put it on a screen.
Right. Well, because I have 4 kids and a wide range of, wide range between them. They're all into video games. They're all into movies. They're all and I get a window into all this kind of stuff. And I'm also in video games myself. And it occurred to me that the change that really happened for, say, IP, right, is that for older generations, like say Alien would come out or Star Wars would come out, and that was that one movie was the anchor, that was the truth, right? And everything else was sort of an ancillary thing. Like you just go, well, obviously it's not as good as Empire Strikes Back, but it's still Star Wars, so I love it. Like that's the hub, and then everything else is a stab at trying to be that again. But that's not how things work for, say, Fallout.
Right.
Right. Fallout is for some people it's a video game. For some people it's the show. And if it's a video game, it's like a number of different video games. Maybe you're a Fallout New Vegas person, whatever it is. But each one of these things is not a hub. It's a window in towards the concept of Fallout. Right. And I think that when you talk about IP today, they want to develop these things like video game crossovers, for instance, Iron Lung, right? We talk to people and they're like, okay, well, we want our new Fallout, which has an Amazon show and a video game. We want to co-develop this together. And I'm like, Fallout's been around for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Like The reason why
Gotta
you
build the community.
You have to build the community. You have to have 15 years worth of work that goes into this thing for it to suddenly wake up overnight and be valuable to you.
Unless you're a meme.
Unless you're a meme.
Unless you're a meme.
Right.
And that's
But-
the thing that,
But with Backrooms, like Backrooms isn't new.
no.
Like Backrooms is many years of building it.
It's in fact the first Backrooms still came out when the kid was
2003.
wasn't alive,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
These things like these about with Markiplier, with Backrooms, like these things have actually been like gathering their audience for over a decade
They have.
before they took off. And let me follow through on this for a second. And then you have with what's the third film? I haven't seen it yet. Obsession.
Obsession.
That's A24.
Mhm.
Like
No, Universal.
Universal. Okay, great. So Universal is old studio.
Sure.
Like they're trying to figure out like how do we say A24 this? We're going to go after the
A24 and Neon this.
neon
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Like this because like we're targeting this flavor which has already been pre-sold,
Proven and-
right? And we're like, and so as much as we talk about this, it's like, oh, everything's changing. The studio is still trying to studioify all of this.
Right.
Like that is the activity that's actually already happening with it.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about this. The audience is obviously very young, right? There's a lot of talk about AI, which we're going to get to in a little bit. We saw when we were at a lot. I wasn't aware of this. You told me about it because you've done it yourself. But there are lots of directors are out there going to China, going to Dance, and getting their director's pitch done all with AI for $1,000 a minute.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
shit, lay down 10 grand. And you
Lay down 10 grand. You got your 10-minute director's treatment of the movie you want to do, all done with AI. Put it out there, right? This was essentially what Gareth Edwards was talking about, and I thought it was fascinating. So this changes the way that people are thinking. And honestly, as a pitch, maybe that's a pretty good way to sketch out your ideas, right?
And I think that is one of the strongest arguments for AI usage right now in the previs, in the concept. As long as you're the artist making the concepts and then using AI, be like, okay, how do I do this hair and how do I get ideas on top of it? What's my pitch deck looks like?
Right.
And that, back to your point, is like, how do I get this idea to paper and not do analysis paralysis?
Right.
That's where AI comes in and be like, oh, well, let's just see what this looks like, and be like, oh my goodness, it can do this, and getting that idea to paper or the idea to screen to be able to show it to something else, or getting it closer to production. I work with a lot of fabulous like creatives that are utilizing this in the space, directors and creators. And that's what we're using it for. We're using it to, what's our pitch deck? What's our previs? Where previs back, legendary days might have been 6 figures for something. Now, like, might take a couple weeks of in between jobs, or, and 10 grand. No, you can do it for free if you really know how to stack the programs. And that's where, like, you have the idea, but then that's where you have to learn the programs in AI and how to utilize them with editing and Adobe, etc., to get yourself to some sort of pitch material that then makes it for a bigger conversation.
Now, for my core audience, who are a lot of VFX people, Trina, how has that AI affected that entire landscape in post? Because VFX right now is bleeding.
Shattered.
As well, I'm sure post sound, everything is probably in that zone.
Yeah, everything's in turmoil. Everybody, but there's that mandate, that edict coming down from studios of like, no, you cannot use any AI, and it's like,
How can you say that and then you have AI on the lot where Amazon is just like shaking that big AI flag, right?
yeah,
AWS.
yeah. But I think a lot of people have been seeing, especially in visual effects, we're looking at how the new tools are coming and what they're doing and where it's going, and it used to be you would go in like, okay, how many scenes can I storyboard?
Right.
And that's going to be quite a bit of money, and all you're getting is just little frames. And now you're like, okay, well, I can basically do previs of the whole thing.
Right.
I don't have to just pick I don't have to pick just scenes. I can just like, okay, we need to do all of it and break it down, and then you create your storyboards from that. So there is a how do your talents, how can you move them into a different space?
Right.
And so but it's also, again, it's very confusing because you're being told you can't use it, but visual effects vendors are like,
Well, the studios want to hedge their bets. They don't want to get in trouble, and they don't want to lose their audience.
yes, yeah.
So they're
Do they
like,
not want to lose their audience, or they don't want to lose their directors?
Well, yeah,
Artists.
like they are. I believe it's safe to say, like, they are very aware of how this is seen, whether it's directors or whether it's the audience or whatever it is. Because, like I said, I work in video games. I am working on a game right now that I'm contractually obligated not to use any AI in the production,
Interesting.
and because the audience would reject it.
Yeah.
And as I've been a production artist for 30 years, this is not a problem for me.
Yeah.
I've already been doing this, and I'm just going to keep on doing it the same way that I've been doing it. And so it's not like a big lift on my end. Like there's not too many things I can imagine using AI for in what I'm doing
Right.
that would speed things up. I'm the fastest thing.
Yeah, because you already know it.
I already know it.
Then
Like
you're at
there's
that
no
level.
point. But it is the tone that people receive it with that they're like, the sales will collapse if you do this. And this is because people believe that if you are an artist who engages with AI, then it is no longer
It's like you're
art.
cheating.
Like you're cheating. And now I have, I've been doing this stuff for a long time, and I started out as a pen and ink illustrator, and I'm a very good pen and ink illustrator. I'm a very good illustrator, right? And I moved over to Photoshop. I paint largely in Photoshop. I remember my family a few years ago saw a pencil drawing that I had done relatively recently, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't know you could really draw." And I was like, "What do you think I do all day? You know that I work in film. I'm a concept artist. I'm all this stuff. You know, I paint and animate my own stuff and all this jazz." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I mean, that's with computers.
Yeah.
It's not like you're really doing
Well, hasn't all innovation been met with that of what's, it's just, especially in this industry, anytime that innovation of technology.
Photographs from film to, you know.
It used to be
digital
celebrated.
to-
I still remember, you know, back in the 90s when CG started to come into, like, Jurassic Park, right? People were like, look at all this amazing stuff we suddenly can do in the film industry. This is liberating. People would celebrate it. They wouldn't look at it like that's cheating.
right."
But then look at how people freaked out when the digital camera came
Yeah,
out.
with all the
And they're like, oh my God. And it actually, I mean, it did kind of ruin filmmaking in a way because it made it more accessible. People could do more.
this
and
is
they
a
did
great
more
point. Yeah.
bad. than
Well,
they did.
the percentages
They didn't
stay
have-
the same, but
Yeah.
it represents a lot more people.
Yes, but they didn't have to plan what they were doing
Yes.
because they didn't have that limitation about how much celluloid they had.
May I run something
Yeah.
by you? Okay,
Sure.
I'll try and make this very quick. Here's the great problem to me of AI, right? It's like when people like, first of all, I agree with you. Slop has always existed,
Yes.
right? It's just always like, look at the, like front end of any streaming service. You don't watch 90% of those movies, and nobody does.
No.
Like you'll watch the 2 or 3 that, and you're like, oh, I love that, and I love this, and then there's a lot of packing peanuts, and then you go, or Die Hard, right?
Yeah.
Like everything else in
Always Die
between.
Hard.
Yeah, exactly. But the
And didn't you find a really good packing peanut, though?
this is great. It's true, right? But like
I'd like to hear which one, but okay.
yeah, but like the problem with AI isn't that it creates slop, because any tool can create slop. It's that
True.
it makes it so much easier to create slop that you get the slop volume is phenomenal.
Yes.
And-
And it democratizes filmmaking, and that also brings in all the bad filmmaking.
Yes,
Right.
And
yes.
it's not good.
Right.
know?
It's almost all
Um,
bad.
And
It's 99% bad.
this is, that's what we've been struggling with in the industry for the last 10 years. We were making too much content. You couldn't monetize it. People weren't making enough money because there was so much out there, and nobody could watch everything that was
Right.
what was being released. And
Right.
so
Imagine
that's the-
judging YouTube, but there's
Yeah.
like, okay, we've never heard of movies before. We don't know what movies are. But I looked at YouTube, and it turns out that every single thing I saw was terrible. So obviously, cameras are useless.
It's kind of interesting. And Gareth, I'm going to give Gareth the credit for this. I worked with Gareth Edwards on Godzilla. Have the hat to prove it. And so like hearing him speak was fantastic because, you know, he's done okay for himself.
I love Gareth Edwards.
He's a massive
And I'm not shocked that he's in the space because, and I think he's even getting some backlash as well because.
He is.
Sure.
But he's always wanted to be a director, but he did editing and VFX like most people
Yes.
pay the bills. And he just was able to break through with that with monsters. And if you understand monsters.
We've talked about monsters.
It's
nauseam.
iconic. It's iconic.
But you have to understand that he directed it, but he also wrote it, but he wrote scenarios. So he didn't write person to the store and it has to be this type of story.
His style of directing is so wonderful. And he's not the unique person, but he's definitely one who does it so well. With Monsters, it was about discovery, right? He had a loose plot and he sort of discovered his way through it.
Yeah.
And what I loved about his talk at AI on a lot was that he talked about AI in the exact same tone, right? Where it's like, I'm just going to, what if this happens? And I remember he was on the FX podcast. So shout out to Mike Seymour for bringing him on because I thought it was one of the best episodes of FX Guide with Gareth Edwards talking about monsters, where he was on vacation. You know this story, I'm sure, but he was on vacation and he was in like somewhere in Mexico and he saw these guys hauling in a net full of fish and he goes, you know what I could do is I could take that shot and I'll just replace the fish with a giant monster and I can turn the whole story around that. And so to him, it was all about, look at that. I could do this and then do that, do this. And so the way that he talked about AI at that.
It's a different form of creativity,
but
it's still the same.
But it's discovery.
It comes from him.
Right. And it's not like, because listen, there is something about very planned, very meticulously crafted shots that knew exactly. But to him, it's about like opportunistic.
This is the
and that is awesome. This is such a great creative method to work.
This is the responsibility of being an artist, right? Is that like David Lynch put it better than I've ever heard before. He says, the job of being an artist is to know when it's right. And that's it. It doesn't matter what the tool is or the media is or anything like that. It's like you're looking at something and it's inspiring you, you're reacting to it, or you have an idea in here, but it's the emotion that you're feeling because you're looking at the thing and you go, no, it's not quite right. And then you go, okay, I'm feeling something. Then you lock that in place. Like I'm taking a photograph of my heart.
It's that connective tissue. Yeah. And that's another throwback to what you mentioned. It's like, and to your point, like, if we don't have that connection with the writing, with the story, it's going to be slop at the end of the day.
Good.
Yeah.
And so what AI does do, it is going to open the floodgates for tons more content, or sorry to call it content.
That is
it would
most
be
of it is
content.
content.
The slop will be content.
Yeah.
But the stories that it'll be the connective tissue as humans.
Yes.
Why do we love Shawshank?
Yep.
Why do we love E.T.? All those things. So yes, it will, and this is it will allow more people to enter the contest, but not everybody's going to be able to win.
Right. I have this quote from John Waters. It's like, I think it's wonderful that anyone can make a movie. Not everyone should.
Yeah, we always bring up Francis Ford Coppola said years ago when he's like, these new cameras are amazing. Like now every little girl in Ohio will be able to make a movie, right? And that's what he predicted. Is like as soon as these tiny
we all have 4K cameras in our pocket.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it turns out you can flood the world with cameras and you still only get 4 good movies.
I made one on a VHS back in the day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But phenomenal.
But you can't get a shot of Bigfoot.
But you can't get a damn shot of Bigfoot.
I'm also from Ohio.
So let's talk about the studio system, because right now, where are we? Obviously, we know that there's changing happening. So can the old guard, let's just put it that way, or can the traditional studio system adapt, or does it have to be rebuilt?
It's going to have to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
And yesterday I probably would have been 50-50 on it, but Zack Snyder making a remake of Escape
from New York, yes.
Why?
You know what? Better yet, they're taking the guy from Obsession, I believe, and they're going to try to make him do a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
and I'm like, why?
Okay. First of all, I'll stand up for remakes in one way. Because the way that I look at remakes,
I'm glad he's going to make money, but still.
The way I look at remakes, right? One of the greatest films ever made is a remake, The Thing, right?
Oh, sure.
Right? So the key to making a great remake is to make a good movie, right?
Yes.
That's what you need to do. And, and the only thing you ever need to do is make a good movie,
right?
If you think you're going to get a good movie by remaking a movie,
you won't.
But
Right.
that's,
Like you don't. No quality is imported from the old one.
And I think part of the studio system that needs to change or needs to speed up or needs to operate differently. I didn't when I was at Legendary, I was like, why can't we make $2 million movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's the same amount of work to make $2 million as it is 200. I was like, I don't know about that, but in some capacities it does. Or you need to make the two when you're in those big systems and it's a machine. You have real estate, you have lawyers, you have management.
It's the brick and mortar problem.
But doesn't it,
Right?
isn't it a little bit, I mean, this is why I'm saying it needs to be rebuilt because, listen, we're getting a writer for our movie we're doing and it's a nice guy. I love the guy, interviewed, etc. But in order for me to get this writer, I had to go through a manager, an agent, and 2 lawyers. That's bullshit.
It's crazy. It's great.
I can't tell you. And I came from agency, and I love representation.
But everyone's lining their pockets.
But
Yeah.
it's
everybody's taking a piece.
there's so many layers of it. I even had it happen recently that like the manager killed the deal because it's like this doesn't work. It's like, well, tell me what works.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I was like, are they looking out for you or are they looking out for themselves?
No, because I know that there's certain things that happen.
But there are a lot of managers. I'm going to reiterate. There's a lot of manager agents that are phenomenal.
They're
and
great- they're great
just-
folks.
Some that are just numbers and be like next.
Well, it's like when I was, going around, pitching shows and stuff like this. Like, I mean, like the idea in Hollywood, when you see like movies about Hollywood, all the upper ups are all just like dummies and bad people and like all this stuff. Everybody I met was sharp as a tack, great business people, super creative, and really was interested in what we were trying to pitch. Like every single one of them across the board, Warner Brothers anywhere, right? But the business itself was
And allow it to move fast.
yeah, it's just like I'm going to see about 1,000 things this year, and I must say no to almost all of them. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
had an
so-
executive that would say no to everything. And I was like, why do you do that? He's like, because the things that are really important will come back to me.
They'll come
And I
back.
was like,
But that's a problem, right?
This is a
That's a problem because then everyone plays it safe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Play it safe,
It's
play it safe,
part-
play it
it's
safe.
part of
that
how
is
it gets-
part of the problem in the system as well. Everybody's playing it safe because they don't want to lose their job.
That,
Well, also they want to. They need to validate their jobs.
Yes.
So every time it's
Yeah.
like you get a script out there, everybody has to weigh in. It's like, okay, you don't see the creator's direction. You don't see their vision. You're not going to follow their vision. You want, oh, no. I have to, I have to be purposeful here. I have to be a part of this and I have to put my mark on it. Therefore, my job.
they call it the thumb in the pie.
And you're-
Yeah, put me in the
But you do that all the way through.
and it gets
know,
sanded
pitch.
down to nothing.
Yeah, pitch, development, production, post, everybody's weighing in. And it's like, you guys liked this script because it had a vision and
Right.
now you have destroyed it.
And meanwhile,
I do
the
remember
thing
when
that
we
makes-
worked on iRobot, there was all of a sudden in the screening room, as our friend Daniel Buck says, like, oh boy, there's a lot of expensive shoes in that screening room. This movie's gonna suck.
Exactly. Because the thing, like that, where things go wrong, like it'd be one thing if that movie didn't get made. iRobot got made, right? But and so they sand down all the hard edges, and it turns into a little round, inconsequential nothing, right? And then they make the movie, and then the movie doesn't do very well because it turns out that in order to make money, you need to make good movies that are interesting to people.
It all comes
That have
back
to-
to that.
Yes.
Okay, how many of us back when we were in high school, college, we would go out to a movie with our friends and then we'd stay up all night talking about it.
Yes.
And a
They
lot
do
of-
now.
but we're getting better
That's great.
movies.
Yeah, well-
because they're getting more thought-provoking movies.
Well,
It's getting into the era where the studios are like, well, we don't want to offend anybody.
well,
We don't wanna offend anybody.
okay, that's
People need to be offended.
yes, they do need to be offended.
Yeah.
They absolutely do need to be offended, and I think adults need to be offended.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, so how wrong people get. And listen, a close friend of ours, he was like, kids don't actually want to go to the movies; they just want to watch TikTok. Clearly, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Completely wrong.
Clearly, that's
But
wrong.
it's again
Yeah.
somebody thinking what they know somebody else is thinking
Yes.
instead of actually listening.
Well, Obsession as a good example, like that actually like Universal and Blumhouse didn't pick that movie to be made. That movie got made through private money.
Right. And then,
Bought
and, yeah.
And then they saw the finished
Yes.
product, which
Right.
is where I live a lot. Like
Yeah.
we have, not that I don't like, Legendary was fantastic and they supported artists and I loved their whole process and them. But there are some places that maybe may not do it as well as they do. And even some of the smaller houses. So a lot of the projects that we have actually gotten to shoot or seen get done came from private equity money.
This is true
Sure.
more, yeah. This because I heard the same thing
More
from
and
Canon,
more,
where it was
and
just like it's turning into a situation where instead of
So are you saying that private
Developing.
equity should develop more movies?
Well, but it's
You-
finding the
you have to make-
people
They
that
are. They
Right.
are they're creating their own slates.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like we have this
become
much money.
Markiplier. Like
Yeah.
he said,
Exactly.
here's my numbers. These numbers are going to come. These numbers probably equal this.
Right.
It's almost like, like Elon not taking money for his job, but he gets it in stock. So then he can take a loan against the stocks.
Right, right.
So that's like basically like, hey, look at all these people. It's going to equal this.
But the creative leverage is entirely on the creative leverage and risk is entirely on production side as opposed to the studio side. The studio is there to like buy something that looks like it should fit their slate,
Right.
But
and that's why they
if
make
this
their money.
keeps going that way, studios will become commercial real estate.
Yeah.
We'll have people there who will, show you around and rent you a studio, or give you, get you offices, maybe get you some equipment, but and maybe some distribution, but there won't be the creative money anymore. They will not be developing anything. They will not be, a part of it, and it's all because they are going, well, we have to justify our jobs and go in and from every single point put our mark on everything and make sure everything is safe and make sure that we have tested everything and run it through
Because
marketing.
they're still the studios. They're
Yes.
still thinking like this.
But to your point, right? If the studios are always playing it safe, right? Now that we're looking at a private equity coming in, private equity, they're mostly VCs.
Right.
They're used to taking risks, a million risks, right? As long as it's under $1 million or so, they can take 1 million risks because one of them's going to hit it big.
Yes and no. I was part of I got to spend a lot of time with H&Is, in private equity more and family offices. So and VCs. I spend, because I'm a founder of Station X, which is a ventures, not just a movie and film. I spend a lot of time in Silicon Beach or the Venice side of things. And so I'm always going to, and I'm talking to VCs, and something that came out of when I was doing that with family offices, they say, hey, this sounds really interesting. And, it looks like it has a low price point and we might be able to make this, but we don't understand it. And because we don't understand it, we only invest in things we understand.
We can't value
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
We can't value it. And so, and especially family offices, because they're like, people give us this money because they trust us with it. So we love you. We love your vision. And I was like, so what would you understand? And they're like, is there something in the tech space? Is there an app or something like that? And that's how I kind of pivoted more to, yes, I do film and TV, but also what does it look like in these other gamification?
Yeah. Right.
Like every single project I do has the ability to be a game.
Right.
And something that can be small app driven.
Yeah, with the 100%.
And so but that's the building the community. And yes, and also it's memes. And I have found some people that are making content, or which will be content, projects, movies, films off of memes, which
for
is
sure.
a little freaky, but it is.
So like
what it is.
that's
Do you remember the Emoji movie? There you
the
go.
emoji. Yeah. But the thing is, like, I mean, I like because when you're talking about trying to get an indie film made, right? Like, you need to be able to it used to be that you could go pitch the studios and try to get it done that way. Now you must more or less make the entire movie and then sell it to a studio or distributor and say like, okay, we've finished it. And here it is. You guys, does this fit your?
And while it's cheaper, I don't have $1 million. I can throw.
Yeah, like it's an enormous risk on production side.
Right.
Like, and so gathering up like that when you're working at that level, trying to make something, trying to make a movie, even if it's like $2 million, when you're just an indie filmmaker, $2 million is like, it's insane to try and get that much money. For a studio, it's not a lot of money. But this isn't also worth the risk to them. It's worth the risk to you creatively, but you don't have $2 million.
Right.
Right. And so you start to feel the pressures to make things more sellable in Studio E and how can I lean this over in this way? And so like when it comes to say tools like AI and all this stuff, like what I encourage is try to make things cheaper for yourself.
Right.
The cheaper you can make it, the more creative control you will have the more creative control you have, the more risk you can take. The riskier it is, the more profitable it seems to other people that can get it out there for you.
Yeah,
Because that's where the money really is.
using those AI as tools, like my business partner in one of my companies, Carl Reed, he's phenomenal. He was like, hey, I really want to make this movie, but it was a bit on the drama side. And we all know that that's a bit of uphill battle.
Sure.
No one's financing dramas. And so, but he is also a writer producer. So he's like, let me write a story that allows me to utilize the tools at my disposal and create this film. Well, he tangerined it, you know, iPhone, but utilized this for the music, had, you know.
Use the tools that are available to you.
Ended up making a movie for very, very low and won just LA Film Festival.
Yeah.
You know, so
terrific movie.
that is.
Goes on to win Best Picture with Honora, same filmmaker.
Yep.
Right?
Tangerine.
Tangerine goes
was talking about my business partner.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like that.
But that's the trajectory you can
right.
go. You can go that route if you. But it all starts with what is the story that enables me to utilize these tools in a surgical manner.
Yeah.
That I come with a plan or idea, a plan, and how to execute it.
Yeah, I have this thing in my head, and I want to make it.
You can now.
Now you can, right? And so, like when I argue for this stuff, I don't care if people use AI. It doesn't make any difference. That's like saying, do you want to use baking soda or flour? Like, who cares? We're here to bake bread, right? This is like we might have to make different bread this way or whatever, but we're here to bake bread. Yeah. And you should never shut yourself out of that, no matter what you're doing, because that limits your creative control and your ability to take low-cost risk, and which is what good storytelling has to depend on business-wise. And it's good business to make things interesting and fresh and new, because that's what people want.
Yes.
Right. And so when I see these, I think it's amazing the success that Backrooms is having and all this. But at the same time, I see a major danger in this because the studios, they're salivating over it. They're like, look at all that money. We can get all studio-y about this thing. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Let's do it. Let's get back to the rules. Now, unless you must, as young filmmakers, as new filmmakers, resist that pull. If you aren't already Markiplier,
right,
you don't have 15 years to build up a YouTube audience, and maybe you make it famous and then you make a movie.
I don't think it, honestly speaking, I think the Markipliers and the YouTubers of the world might have had enough to just get them over the edge. But I honestly think Backrooms is successful because people got excited. Well, I think a big part of people never knew much about that guy before.
I know. In that I'm a part of that. I watched all the Backrooms stuff.
Sure.
Me and my
so did I.
So
but I believe that there's too many people that I just want to see everyone's talking about it.
Well, once it gets past a certain point, then it pops into studio. That's why the studios are interested, because it had that critical moment.
Right.
But prior to that, the Backrooms, and that dude has been making Backrooms content for years and years.
Right.
And it's all awesome. And there's other stuff set to pop, like Gemini Home Entertainment. Does anyone know about that?
Yeah.
Or the Mandela Effect show. All these things that have had audiences for years and years and years, and now they might have their moment. But we have to keep in mind that they have been doing this and cooking that for years. Right? And nobody is going to be able to step into these waters as they are today and expect to be a major studio mega hit, because that is studio land. Once you start making $180 million, that you're talking studio land.
Yeah.
To get on the field, you have to be as scrappy as hell, and you have to work right now.
So let's talk about a couple things, because you mentioned the studio system might turn into a real estate zone.
Yeah.
You think that that's because that's all they have left?
Well, if they're not getting on board with the creative, and that, it was funny. I was talking to somebody during the strikes a couple years ago. They're like, well, the lot doesn't seem that empty, and it's like, well, it's July. There usually isn't a lot shooting during July.
Right.
And that's kind of the time that everybody goes on hiatus, or everybody's traveling, or it's just always end of June, beginning of July, it's always kind of quiet. But there's a lot of people on the lot. I'm like, yeah, because there's a lot of fat, a lot of middle management.
Yeah.
A lot of people who still have jobs. Yeah. And of course, some of it, there's a lot of, everything in the background that's going on in the industry. But if studios aren't going to it's going to be so easy for them to lose creative control. And they're like, well, we have these IPs, and everyone's like, oh, that's great. We have new stuff.
Yeah.
And
Suddenly all those IPs are becoming worthless.
yeah.
I mean,
Except for your huge ones, like Magic the Gathering,
right. Well, I mean, then
I've been
there's
having many
there's a whole
conversations
set
about
of IP that's about to mature
Yeah,
with video games, right? Like what's his name, Civil War. Alex Garland is now directing the Elden Ring movie. Like we're transitioning into an entirely new field of IP, like in the next 2 years.
Sure.
And so like that's where like this is where the studio-ness is going to bloom again, right? And so like and once it's just like they will. I mean, I'm not anti-studio, like, but I think
Well, no, none of us are anti.
yeah, like but like the reason why like Gareth Edwards amazes me is because he has been able to navigate being an artist with integrity while still working with the studios, which is like a deal with the devil, and very few people survive that.
Yeah, it is a testament to who he is. He's a real deal. And it was interesting to kind of like, I kind of give him another props, but he's just the real deal. He's a good guy, but he knows his stuff. He's an artist, but at the root of it, he was one of the first directors, and I worked with many, they shall remain nameless, who did not care about the bottom line.
Right.
He would be upset about. That was something he was very concerned. I remember hearing him talk about monsters. He's like, well, I'm really worried we're not going to make our money. And the guy's like, don't worry about it. Like, it's less than a $1.5 million movie, we're fine. But it's a testament to who he is. And he just knows how to, he
knows how to do it,
to bob and weave in the system, but he's also just a really great guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because we also worked with Joe Kosinski and like, it's like the guy is like, he knows exactly the kind of movie he wants to make. And he's been building towards that. He was building towards that for a decade before he even made Tron, he's like this. And so by the time he makes Maverick and F1, we're like, Joe's in his fantasy land right now. Like he designed this place for him.
Do you think a lot of these filmmakers that break through that noise or stay within the system to play ball came with technical knowledge?
I definitely
came
think so. Yeah.
From the editing, the VFX world, not just straight edits, but 100%. On top of it, they're artists.
Absolutely. And the same thing with the YouTubers, right? Because they have to do all this stuff themselves.
So then you're able to pivot and know story. But I remember having this conversation on Legendary with the owner. And I was like, hey, could we like take like ideas from the company and bring them to you?
Right.
Because I think the next, Gareth or the next, insert anybody, Andy is in an editing bay.
Yeah.
And they're probably in this because we're working with the best of the best.
Right.
And so, and this is kind of to give this. I have a lot of friends in the VFX world and editing who are having crisis, and even creatives, writers. And I was like, you have to understand that you actually have the tools.
Yeah.
The best tools.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is just take that leap and use the tools to get your thing to paper, get it presented. Even when you're learning AI, if you're a filmmaker, you need to know editing.
Yeah.
That's how you move the quickest,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then you're like learning editing on top of AI is not going to do as well. But if you're an editor and you learn it, you're cooking with gas, I believe.
Yeah.
Then you can pair it with a good story.
Right.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah, because like the thing is that, I mean, when, people, like when we began the conversation with, like, oh, CG ruins movies, like people that see AI slop say, I hate AI, I can always tell, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do. And I promise, as an artist, I can also tell, like, I can look at something and say, that is lousy.
Yeah.
Right. And it is my job, if I go like, okay, I have an idea in my head, like I have this vision, I'm going to type it out, I'm going to prompt up some stuff. Okay. And then I get back 20 different iterations and I look at them and I look at it. I can tell if that's bad, if any of these are any good. I can tell if any part of it is something I could use, if it is, I go, well, all of this is terrible. This little tiny bit is kind of interesting. I'll put that over here and I'm going to start painting something in. Maybe we'll use that. And I'll start, and maybe I'll go out and take some photography. I'll put that in. I'll Photoshop it together. I'll give it to the AI. Use that as a reference. See what it gets. Is that better? Get it to build a 3D model, and it becomes this multi-layered bit of craft until I look at it and say, "This is what I want it to be."
Yeah.
Right. There's no like pull the slot machine and then go, "I don't know. I guess that's what it made." and then you just sort of throw
that's
up your
when you
hands.
start giving it notes, and that iteration comes back. And you're like, I don't know why I changed all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's no machine and this is why I confuse anti-AI people, because there's no machine in the world that can out-art me. It's unconscious. Like I'm the one who says, and as long as I'm the one who says, and what's on screen is terrible, then I'm not done.
Yeah.
Right. And taking responsibility for that is how you make the thing that you want to make.
Yeah.
Jeff Koons didn't make all those puppies by himself.
Dude.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the thing I always say. There's a great photograph by Ansel Adams, right, of this massive oak tree at sunset, right? And I'm like, he did not create the chemicals in the air that created that sunset. He did not create this oak tree. He did not create lenses. He did not create cameras. He did not create anything. He was just driving by. He happened to see this, and he took probably a number of photographs.
It moved him.
And
then moved him to capture it.
Yes, he recorded the moment he felt something.
Yeah.
That is what media is. Whether it's AI, whether it's paper, whether it's clay, it records the moment that you felt something, and you're encoding that sequence of feelings into the clay, then into the macaroni and cheese, into the paint, into whatever it is. And then you say, this, and I have encoded all my feelings into this, and you push it out into the world, and you give it to somebody else, and they look at the code, and because they're human beings and we share almost all the same blood chemistry, you look at it and decode it in almost exactly the same way, and you have feelings, right? The feelings are entirely yours, right? Like I didn't psychically give you feelings. I just wrote a code. And like if you were on the sea in the mid-Atlantic or in North Atlantic in 1914, and you heard, you would panic because you know what that code said. The code did not contain the screaming and the freezing.
Yeah.
The code was simply a code. You are afraid for human beings.
Yeah.
Then emotions come up for you. That's how art actually works. And that's why media doesn't matter. And when I say use AI, I say use it as a tool
100%.
Exactly.
because it's a thing you can encode things into. And it can, in some cases, give you more creative control. If it gets in the way, if it's too expensive, it doesn't do the work, do not use it.
Well, yeah, that's also one of the things that I've been talking to people for the last few years, because everybody's been anti-AI. We're not having it. We're not having it. Because a lot of them, they don't understand it. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how it's going to be used. And they imagine studio execs that give us these sometimes interesting, but most of the time terrible notes on the creativity of, the project that we're on. Sitting at their desk, trying to bang out, a script, in AI. And they're like, well, they're just going to get a prompt. I'm like, okay. The thing is, studio execs typically don't have the vocabulary
Right.
to instruct anything
Right.
on how to make a film.
Right.
They see films, they read scripts, and then they comment on what they've seen. So to flip all of that and that's where visual effects supervisors and visual effects companies those are the ones you need to worry about, because those people have the talent, they have the language, they have the knowledge,
They have taste.
everything.
They have ability.
But they have everything they need to be like, you know what? I'm going to sit here. I'm going to sit this program. I'm going to tell it what to make, how to make, and I'm going to, and they're going to give it all the instructions it needs because they have the capabilities and the language.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't, it's like, I don't have the ability to sit down. I mean, I have the ability to tell a great story.
Right.
I do not have the ability to sit down and write a great story.
This is a terrific point. Okay, so because with us, I feel that I'm a very good director. I love working with actors. I love directing. I have ideas in my head for what I want shots to look like. Right. I know how to operate cameras.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a lot to do on the set. I have a ton to do on the set, and I could also operate the camera, and my direction of the actors would suffer. And I'm not as good a photographer as Richard Crudo. So I'm going to hire that guy.
Yeah.
He's a better photographer than me by a million miles. And he is working at the level that we want this film to operate at.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we get that guy. Not because of the camera.
We want to elevate it.
Yes.
We want to get the people that are going to make it better.
Yeah. And so if I'm making a movie, right, and say AI, like because of AI tools, like now you can do everything, Dan. You can do everything in the shot. You can be every actor. You can do the production design. It's all you. Well, maybe I suck at some of that. Like there's a good chance I'm terrible at almost all of this. I'm really only good at.
It's also being self-aware to know that.
Well, yeah.
And not have the ego
Yeah.
to be like, I have to wear all hats.
Like I can imagine, like even if we were going to set out to make only an AI-based film, like first of all, we need more camera control from these things because they don't have a lot of camera control, and that's totally useless. But assuming we pushed it to have that kind of control, right? I would still go, Richard, could you help me shoot this properly? Because I'm not as good as you are, and you know what better frames and lighting are. And I would like you to, quote, photograph this film for me.
Yeah. Please use your human lens to fix this mechanical lens to do what we need to get the emotion.
I would hire up our Yan, our costume person, to be like, I need these characters to look more interesting because I am bad at this. That's why I hire a professional with great taste. I know what's good when I see it because she's good at it. And I go, oh, that is really good.
Yeah.
Right. Then this is where jobs come from on a movie.
So does AI have the ability to like understand that different fabrics are going to drape differently? They're going to light differently?
It has enough to give you a believable physics.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Believable is the most important part because that's what that's the only job it is believable enough, right?
And AI doesn't know anything.
But believable to, the layman's terms.
Right.
But then you have all these people who are, fashion designers.
That's what it does, though. It tests it.
Textile.
Right.
And they're, so AI is going to come out and they're like, and everyone, half the world has, an interest in something specific.
Right.
Or, they have a hobby. It's their job. It's, whatever it is. And they're going to look at that and go, that's wrong.
Right.
And that's exactly how AI. That's exactly how AI works. It's like, does it test? No. Does it test? No. Does it test? It's testing. As like, boom, success. That's how it determines a success, right?
And then how you determine whether it's any good is you have someone who is actually a production designer or a costume designer. Look at what it's putting out and going, well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's because the AI can't make any decisions.
Exactly.
It doesn't have
And that's
power
why
to do
AI
any of
has
that.
to be a tool. It
It's
has
the
to be
only way
a
to
tool
look
for
at it.
professionals to use.
Right.
And we have to be teaching people coming up. They need to learn, what we know and not just put it into AI. Because at some point, it's one of those things, it is a tool. It's not a be all end all, taking over. Unless, the evil overlords, have their way.
That's our Lord
But,
Satan. Yes.
Because we're still gonna need to train people on how to use fabrics. And I was reading a story the other day about the costume designer for, I think it was the Kenyan Eye. The studio was like, "Here's the fabric," and she's like, "This is terrible. We can't use this." And they're like, "Well, you are because it's too expensive to use real raw silk." And she was like, "Nope. I'm leaving," packed off more stuff and going. And then they're like, "Oh my God, this is going to delay production." You know what? It's the cheaper option is to give her what she wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's like, but if we don't have these people coming up in these roles and learning, by being that costume, that being in, all the way through that department and then, becoming the department head, it doesn't matter what AI does. There's nobody there.
There's nobody there to know what's good or bad.
I think it kind of brings the point home to become a master of your craft.
Yeah.
Right? Don't take the easy way, which is what a lot of people are doing, because it takes time and it takes tenure to understand why that button gets pushed that does that thing, right? And I think that's like, I don't want filmmaking to become artisanal. At some point, it is really those individuals, and that's what like I said, a lot of people are having their doubts, and rightfully so, and scared. But hone your craft, own it. But the biggest thing is hone your taste.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing that'll differentiate between every single thing. Because you can type, you can prompt, whatever. But if that no soul, no taste,
good at what you love, so you do it well. Like
and you can share. And if people don't like it, then that's move on quickly. That's the other thing too. Is I come from very different pathways, but very on the tech side of things. It's like execute quickly and figure it out. If break it quickly.
Yeah,
Doesn't work, move on.
This is the whole idea, because like I can't, like, from being a production artist and a filmmaker for my entire life now, it's like I can't explain, because people, because we're in the business of creating an illusion, right? People have very strong romantic feelings about movies and what we do, right? And they're like, oh, the art, yes, the art. And I'm just like, yes, that's true, but the actual making of this stuff is like a crazy abattoir where you're losing time. And you're like, sun's going down and Brad's not doing it right. And, like, we're like, come on. And the pressure to get things done quickly so you save money, so you have more options is radical, right? And when you have demand from the audience side to make things be beautiful and brilliant and entertaining in movies they love, right? Which they absolutely should demand, right? The only people who are going to be in this end of the business are the people who are incredibly dedicated to doing that within extremely tight timescales to hit that bar for you. And so if they're engaging in any tool, it is to satisfy what you ordered so they can get it done quickly, so they have more flexibility. What they are afraid of, what audiences are afraid of, is the way that bad studio management thinks, which is, we can get away with trash because these idiots will eat anything, right?
Dangerous spot to be in.
And this is the dumb, and I've heard executives say the dumbest stuff about this. Just like, it doesn't matter.
But it's also understanding, and I'm going to flip it back because I was at a mini major, which is acting like a studio for a long time, of why some of those things happen, right? You're working on tight timelines.
Yeah.
You're working on usually a window for theatrical release.
Yeah.
If it's a big movie, right? And so and usually sometimes that window changes. And like, hey, it's sooner, hey, it's later. Right. And then it's like just say you have this massive IP. And years. It takes years sometimes to get that. Talk about Dune. I was part of that. When they got that IP. I will say Dune has been done very well.
Oh, yeah. I worked on Dune, too.
Denny and all them. It's beautifully shot. The first one, interesting. The books are long, right? And so, but what it did is it took pacing a little bit slower. And just the beautiful, all the things, etc. But when you're working backwards from this window, and then you're like, it becomes the hurry up and wait to just hurry up.
Yeah, right.
Your script's not as good. You're not as surgical in your production schedule. You're not as planned out. If you have to do a wall, now you didn't put that into the script because the script started 2 years ago and you had X amount of directors on it, and now you're paying them and you have to, all of these moving parts. So it really is that window. And that is one of the biggest problems for the studio system, is that window and working it and then like hurrying up to try to deliver something.
But the studio, like the windows in theaters right now
that's totally different.
I understand that. That's a different window. But like, I just made me think, is like, they're like, oh, we'll just put it in the theaters for 2 weeks. And it's like, oh my God, we're making so much money. I guess we'll extend it another week, and we'll extend another week, and we'll extend another week.
Obsession's going into its third week now because it keeps on making more money.
It makes more money. It's actually the first movie since E.T. that's actually risen for 3 weeks.
It's wonderful.
I do want to break, because we've gone a little long and I know we got some time, but I do want to close up with this. What does a job look like on all levels? I'm talking from the post crew to the actors to the studio executives. What does it look like now in this new thing? How does someone's job look like? We'll start with you, Trina.
In the broad strokes, it's just, you're going to be able to do more with less. That's what innovation does. And if we keep on the innovation track with this, then we will have better content. We will have more content. It'll be targeted content, but it'll take less people, less time, less money to make this.
So are there less jobs?
There'll be different jobs. So you'll have people who are still within the film industry, but then you'll have more people who are in the AI industry, or the supportive network underneath these jobs, because if you have more,
but you don't have 2,000 jobs to make a movie anymore.
No.
But if I can I dig into this a little bit?
Sure.
So like, because we have worked on obviously movies that have 2,000, 3,000 people on, whatever it is. Like it seems like and let me just, is this a possibility, or is this what you're trying to get at? Is like, it seems like it would be better, and to make the math easy on myself, let's say like if you had 100 people working on a single movie, right? At say $40,000 a year a piece doing VFX, right? Because 100 times, like that's, $4 million right there to do that for a single movie. That makes it riskier because you only have one shot, and if the movie bombs, you don't make any money, and all that money is just gone, right? If you take those 100 people and instead make 10 movies, but with new tools that make it look as good as the one movie, right? Then each of those productions can pay those VFX artists, say, $100,000 a year, and then they are still low budget independent productions. And there's enough demand to want to see 10 movies, right? And because each one of these is cheaper, they can be riskier, which is what people are looking for when they're looking to watch movies.
Exactly.
So when you have the 100-person version, you have to sort of go 4-quadrant, smooth it out, make sure everyone's not offended, because we need our money back. If it's broken up into 10, same number of people work, probably get paid more, and the movies are riskier and more interesting.
Because it's going to be cheaper, but those same 100 workers can have a lot more of output.
Right. That would be the dream anyway. That's what I think.
And that's it. Like I said, if we keep going down the innovation track,
Right.
Not the evil overlord track.
No, I'm tired of those guys.
But it's the innovation, but also again, coming back to a studio, like, you got to keep the lights on, you got to pay for the spaces. That one of the things when I was like, can we make smaller movies? They're like, we can't get insured for that.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so then I think
can't get insured for a smaller movie
for X amount of reasons. Like they were like, we like to be in the 2.5 space for insurance purposes. Right. And I was like, I didn't know there was a sweet spot, right? And according to that could change because it's been years. But I even met somebody at Aeon a lot was like, we actually specifically insure because of that. We insure this so that you can go into production. I was like, and me understanding that was actually, a hurdle, it's like, that is phenomenal. So I think that, yes, I think smaller ones can be made. Some things within the minutia of how things get done are going to have to change. Contracts, obviously one of the big ones. But and I said again, like, I believe if you have the gaming background, you know how to use, the gaming engines. If you have VFX, if you have editing, if you have taste, if you know how to keep a phenomenal script together, I think you'll see this.
Yeah, I agree.
You'll see a little bit of those studio people that maybe couldn't exactly articulate a creative for that project vision. Again, not everybody does that. There are some of them. There's some fantastic. But you'll see a shift, and you'll see these people with these hard tech skills rise to the top if they can get out from underneath their own fears and just put pen to paper.
Trust in their own taste.
Trusting their own taste. Again, you must have taste. Not everybody has taste. I realize that.
So you see tech people, you see creative people with a tech background having an edge on everyone else.
I 100% see that.
Well,
and so like,
we've always had that.
Not always.
It's
not always.
For the past 20 years, it's crawled that way, and I think we've hit a hockey stick moment.
well, I think it also like, and one of I was talking to some hiring people who are at legacy, studios, and they're like, we're looking for people who are more entrepreneurial now.
Yeah, right.
And I think that is a huge skill, and not everybody has that muscle. I get it, because if you're a straight artist, believe me, I know some straight artists that cannot life. You know what I mean? I was like, you are a great artist, but
I didn't know we knew each other so well.
We should talk. I'm really and that's okay, because you can be good at what you do, but then know your weakness, know your strength, and partner with somebody else. And I'm always like, all the women in my life and all my friends and executives that I'm trying to help level them up. I'm like, what tool can I give you to get to the next level? And it's always learning about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how do I set up my LLC? How do I set up my S Corp? How do I do my taxes?
Right.
And some people are like, oh, my head starts spinning. I was like, no one's coming to save you.
Nope.
You need to figure this out. Right. And then the other thing, and some people who are straight artists is like, well, I hope this will happen. I was like, hope is not a strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll have to come out. I started as an artist, like pen to paper, brush to, canvas, who forced myself into the business space because it was the muscle that I did not have.
Right.
So then I became that right brain, left brain. So I'm very good at talking to both sides of the table and be like, I know this is where you need to feel safe. I know let's protect this for you and this is what I want for you. And then when sometimes the business is like, this is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it really is, I believe, if you have those hard skills and then you learn the entrepreneurship and the AI as something to help level you up and take the fear out of it, because that's what it is, that you can make more now with less. So why not try it?
I just think that somehow there's been so many things that have distracted us from creating good movies, including tax incentives to go to tax breaks places. Like one of the things that happened around a lot, and listen, this guy, he was doing the House of David stuff, and he was
John
like,
Irwin.
yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then one of the things like, I don't want to go to a tax break place, so I'm going to save enough money that it's not an incentive.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can actually work with talented people here in Los Angeles because there are plenty of them.
And it's also
Right.
I was very heavy into tax credits, which I actually love. Well, that's the Excel spread nerd side of me of that one.
Sure.
And so I tell you all day where to go, where you need to save the money, etc. But it's always better to sleep in your own bed. And it's always good to keep the jobs here. And
Sure.
if you, and we've talked about this many times, a federal tax credit, can you do that with this administration? Probably not. But, are there ways, and it's John's creating a way by that
Right.
hybrid,
Just making a cheaper movie.
just by,
It's
But
like,
doesn't tax incentives incentivize people to spend more money,
yes.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so-
and to stay domestic and to keep jobs.
Right.
And,
So-
I'm all about working internationally, but
Yeah.
I'm also about helping LA keep the jobs here.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
like, is that, and then to sum it up, like with the movies that are hitting so big right now, like what that really says is that the way you make money is by being super creative and embracing it. Like that's the thing. People want
Because
it.
over the last year, we've been theorizing that this is happening, and it's just so funny to sort of witness it happening in real time, and just excitement of that industry. And so, talking to you guys has been very important to me because I was like, it's almost like I'm seeing this, right? You guys witnessing
happening.
this, right? Like this is actually happening. This isn't just some bullshit thing, because I honestly think there's been a bunch of people that have been sitting in ivory towers in Hollywood that are out of touch,
Yep.
and they don't really understand what the hell's going on. And I just, I joke about it. I talk about it on The Town. I listen to The Town podcast, and I love your description. It's like, it's for the executives that are on their treadmill, right? So, but they're like, this was like 3 months ago. It's like, seems to me that people might not be going to superhero films as much. And I'm like, are you serious? Just now you're discovering this? And it just seems to like,
Yeah, props to those guys. They're great at like the high level business stuff.
they are, but I think
But blindsides
even
them
that is
sometimes,
being disrupted right now,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
And so when they're like four quadrant doesn't mean anything anymore.
It's all going away. All this is becoming niche, which is the thing is like, as I said, I work in the video game space. Like the place to be in video games is indie.
Right.
Because
Yes.
indie is where you have total creative control.
Yep.
You work with very small teams. Because you work with small teams, the prices are low. That means you can do anything you goddamn want. And you have direct communication with the people who love your work and back and forth.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, I think the other thing that was fascinating, just a little side note, like, Brady went to go see Backrooms with all of his friends, right? My son is 16. And he was like, well, it didn't follow the storyline. It's like, what storyline? It's like, well, there's a whole fan base
canon.
storyline
Yeah, right.
that's not even part of any original story. Like the actual real story is completely open-ended in a lot of ways, but the fan base have created this other narrative that people followed.
Right.
And somehow the movie didn't follow the fan base storyline.
Yes. Yeah, the head canon they have, right? It's
And
just-
so they're like, well, it's not like, it's like,
It's wild.
but it's also like, it's not like the book.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I
That's
think it's like,
that is fandom.
this is the
But I
fandom
think
in a
that's,
nutshell.
well,
But it's
well,
like
he didn't criticize it. He liked it, right?
The engagement is amazing, and that's the engagement we've wanted back in movies. For a
I
long time.
just liked seeing it because I don't know, there's some, especially with horror, right? There's something primal about fear that
it's
is
great.
sort of wonderful, right? And that movie is like, have you ever been in a weird office building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
and really, horror. It's no surprise that horror is hitting right now
It
because
was someone's like H&R Block mistaken for a fan-based
yeah, exactly.
Backrooms movie.
But it's no surprise that this is hitting so well for everybody because like we all feel alienated, we all feel isolated, we've all lived through COVID, and these kids grew up like their prime years in high school was this.
This isn't COVID, yeah.
You know, and so this is horror to them, and
Right.
horror is always the leading edge of new film. Like that's where, because it's the cheapest thing to do, and that's where you're just like, you know what's going to make a hit, do this, and
Well,
that's
it's
where you get
also-
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean, spoiler alert to anyone watching, it is 100% about psychology. Like Backrooms is a psychological thriller,
Right.
almost too much definition.
You know, to your point, we've been in a psychological horror for the past, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
amount
exactly.
of
Be trapped in the
years.
Skinner box and
And-
see how we
Right.
react.
And the interesting thing about that, you said that's younger generation and what they've experienced. Like, I feel for them, but at the same time, as something that throwing yourself on your device or your laptop and playing shoot 'em up games and building community,
Yes.
and then at the same time, like, isolated you,
Yes.
so that when you do go watch a film or a series or a vertical, for even say,
Right.
which I'm all in on verticals if they're used in a certain manner.
Oh, we have a lot to talk about. I'm very excited. Yes.
But in a genre space,
Yeah.
we're building that too. But that means the connectivity
This
much
is
more.
this is such a great point because like what is awesome about everybody going to the movies, young people going to the movies, right?
They're all on A-list.
Like this is like
I mean, my
AMC.
son's
Yeah.
Entourage. I didn't know that was a
They
thing. Now.
they all live through COVID, which is a nightmare. Because the first, I mean, like I'm an old dude, and I was like, COVID, I get to read more books. Fantastic,
Right.
But for them, it was a nightmare, right? They are now making art to process that nightmare,
Right.
and the way they are celebrating that art is by gathering together in movie theaters, which they could not do during COVID. Like that is absolutely that is a artistic, spiritual reawakening
Sure.
that I've been wanting to see for my kids and for everyone
Well,
for years.
I think go back to, Jason Blum's quote. It's like, we're back to the 70s, which is what we've
Been saying
Great.
We've been
possibly
saying it
for
forever.
yes, yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much. I know we ran a little long, but I really appreciate. We'll have you guys back on. Did you guys enjoy being on this?
Yeah, it's
Thank
great.
you so
I'd love
much.
to come back.
Yeah. So we'll definitely have you guys back.
Just
This is-
imagine what'll be then. Like, if my directors could do something different on Monday from what they could do on Friday,
Yeah, dude,
I mean, like,
it's big time.
yeah.
exciting.
Except if they don't get distracted, because I've seen those guys who are like, "Ooh, shiny toy, shiny toy, shiny toy," and they never finish the story.
Discipline,
Yeah, no.
discipline,
Discipline, surgical
discipline.
Right.
disciplined with a
Yes.
plan,
Right.
but taste.
Yeah.
That's what.
That's it.
Yeah.
Taste first.
Because sometimes I see people that like, there's a movie done which is all AI by, I forgot what it is, the day just coming out, and everyone's like kind of rolling their eyes at it. It's like, that's a giant tech demo just to prove that you can make a 2-hour version
Yeah,
of an AI.
like that's not. I haven't seen it. Maybe it's great, but it's probably not a good movie. Right.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Excellent.
Like in 1971's prime. From authors' bold dreams to AI's fever dream, where tech meets the silver or LED screen. Pixels and passion are pipelines unknown to hosts. One show on a deadline postponed.